Neil McCabe is on the line with us. He is the editor of the Guns and Patriots newsletter. He's a senior reporter over at Human Events, the conservative website. Gunsandpatriots.com is Neil's website. And his Twitter handle is Neil W. McCabe, McCabe. Hey, Neil, welcome.
Hey, Tom, good to be with you.
So Scott Walker says that from now on, if anybody wants to get unemployment insurance, they have to pee in a cup. Now, when Rick Scott did this for food stamps down in Florida, what they discovered was that the drug abuse level of food stamp recipients was 1/8 of what it is in the general population. There was another state that did it and found out of 800 or 900 people, one person who had drug residue. Cost them thousands of dollars. This is the kind of big government in your life intervention, intrusive intervention into your bodily fluids that I would think that conservatives would be horrified by. What say you?
Well, Scott Walker wasn't really that direct, Tom. I think what he's doing is no actual program has been sort of worked out, but the idea is that able-bodied residents of Wisconsin who are telling the state that they need help shouldn't be doing drugs with the money that they're getting from the state.
So prosecute them if they do. But what does that have to do with forcing people to pee in a cup in order to get unemployment benefits? This is the new Republican thing, and it's just a way of punishing
Tom,
people for being the victims of Reaganomics.
Hey, somebody says, hey, I'm looking for a job, and they're on drugs. I think maybe that's a lack of good faith on their part. You know, people don't mind helping other people. Americans are the most generous people on earth.
That's not true. Republicans are the stingiest people on earth.
I'm talking about Americans, not Republicans, Tom. They're not the same thing.
Scott Walker's a Republican. I don't think he quite qualifies.
I think the people of Wisconsin deserve to know that the people that they're helping are free from drugs.
By and large, they are, Neil.
Well, that's great. And so it shouldn't be a big deal.
So why another big government, big spending program, or is he going to
food share?
Or is he
going
to charge, as Rick Scott did down in Florida? Is he going to charge the people who are peeing in the cup for the test that's going to be done by a for-profit corporation? In the case of Rick Scott, it was the company that he owned that was doing the testing. Has Scott Walker owned money in a drug testing company like Rick Scott did?
I'm not going to wade into that ambush. Let me just say this about that.
It's not an ambush. It's facts.
No, I don't know. Listen, I will say this. Scott Walker has been charged with a lot of crazy things by very political and very aggressive prosecutors as part of the Democratic machine.
And they are still looking into him. He's one of the most corrupt governors in America.
He is not corrupt.
Anybody who takes that kind of money from the Koch brothers and who takes a phone call that he thinks is from the Koch brothers and basically says, oh, yes, I would love to kiss your butt, is corrupt.
He was being polite, Tom. And if that's a crime, then lock us all up for being polite.
That was far more than polite. You know it.
Well, it was an unfortunate call, and I'm sure he'd like to take that one. I'm sure he'd like to leave that phone.
I'm sure he would too, but I think it reveals his essential personality. He's a lapdog to the billionaires.
Well, I don't know if I want to say that, but you know, remember that the Koch brothers, they're trying to lessen the role of government in people's lives.
No, not in people's lives. They're trying to lessen the role of government in their lives. They're the ones who own Georgia Pacific, which pollutes the waterways. They're the ones that own Koch Industries, which pollutes our air. And they're the ones who are leading the charge against the EPA that protects us from their pollution.
There's a lot of people who work for the Koch brothers, right? And so they create jobs. And so what we're talking about is how do we break the chronic dependency for the people in Wisconsin? And listen, there could be people on drugs who are getting state benefits.
So what?
Well, it's illegal, Tom, and it's immoral.
Neil, do you? I had no idea you were such a moralist. Do you think that? I mean, everybody in America gets some sort of federal benefit. Everybody. Okay. You know, I'm guessing you drove to work on a highway that was paid for with federal funds, right? We all get federal benefits.
I'm a veteran, so I rely on the federal government and those crazies who run those hospitals.
Right. So you get veterans benefits. You use public roads.
I'm the GI Bill.
You're on the GI Bill. I'm assuming that you went to public schools.
Sure. Because of my poor grammar.
No, because I thought you were just an average guy. Maybe you went to Andover with George Bush. I don't know.
All right, but the point is that not
Okay,
all
so if you want to
benefits
say that anybody who
are-
gets any money from the government should be drug tested, shouldn't we be drug testing everybody?
Well, no, Tom. How about the people who say, I'm fit to work, I'm looking for a job, I can't find a job, but I'm on drugs?
Isn't a more appropriate response, Neil, here's a job?
Here's a job.
Yeah,
And so
if Scott Walker was to say, we're going to take that money that the federal government gave us to do high-speed rail between Milwaukee and Madison or whatever it was, we're going to take that money and we're going to build that high-speed rail, we're going to create 20,000 jobs, and by the way, if you don't want to work at one of these jobs and you want to continue to draw unemployment benefits, when we have offered you a job, then I don't have a problem with the drug testing.
And how about would you drug test the people working on that railroad? Or
But I would take it a step beyond that. I would say, if you're going to drug test people, when they test positive, you damn well better have some sort of a treatment plan available to them rather than just jail.
Well, I think treatment would probably be cheaper than jail.
Of course it's cheaper than jail, but Republicans oppose it.
Well, I mean, we're not
Because the
talking about
Republicans
that.
love big government programs when they have to do with women's uteruses or men's penises.
Easy. I think what Scott Walker's trying to do, now that I see it through your eyes, Tom, is he's trying to find those people who need help.
Right. You're being facetious, Neil.
Well, I think that obviously there are people who need help, and
Scott Walker is trying to humiliate people who are on unemployment.
And if those people who are receiving state benefits are
Have you ever
using
had to pee in a cup, Neil?
Absolutely.
Was somebody standing next to you watching you do it?
Well, first of all, in the Army Reserve, it happens a lot. And when I was in the Coast Guard doing drug patrols, it happened constantly.
Okay, doesn't it make you feel creepy?
Yeah, but, you know, it's different for me, Tom, because I was in uniform, and that's the kind of sacrifice that we sign up for.
Sure.
All
But
right,
people
so
on
it's
unemployment,
not-
I don't think, signed up to have somebody watch them pee in a cup.
But what they did say is they said, we want the state to give us money.
They said they want the state to return to them the money that was taken out of their paycheck and put into the unemployment funds over all the years that they were working.
And what about food share and food stamps?
We're not talking about that. We're talking about unemployment
the
benefits.
Scott Walker program is also going to go after people who are in other parts of the part.
Well, I think that's equally outrageous, but I think that the argument that, oh, they want us to support them is nonsense. We all pay into the unemployment fund.
Well, we're just trying to give people a nudge and show them the way to live.
Right. Because Republicans love telling people how to live. Right? Through the government. Okay, Neil McCabe, Guns N' Roses. Guns and Patriots.
Roses, come on!
Sorry.
What's on your head?
I mixed you up with a rock star, Neil. It's so easy to do.
Around the axle.
GunsandPatriots.com. Thanks, Neil.
Be good, man.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.